guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the new Nars Ignited eyeshadow palette. This is one that I spent my Rouge reward on, so I'm basically all in with this palette. If you look at the fine print of the Rouge rewards, I don't believe you can return anything if you use it. So we are all in. I do have some thoughts on this palette, some first impressions, swatches, and everything to share, so let's get right into it. First of all, of course, let's talk about the outer packaging. The outer packaging of this is actually super, super pretty. I do love how high-end and luxe it feels. It is slightly weighted in the hand. I love how the colors are very symbolic and representative of the palette on the inside. So I do love, as a whole, this is amazing quality, especially for the price tag that this palette is. Then when you open up the palette itself, you will see a really generously sized mirror. It is the size of the upper lid in entirety, which I love because that's going to be the most room for you to see what you're doing. It's going to be perfect for using on the go or traveling. And then we have the eyeshadows themselves. There are 12 shades in this palette. We do have 3 mattes, we have 3 shimmers, and the rest of the 6 are their glitter formula. This isn't like a loose glitter whatsoever. It's definitely a glitter pigment that you can easily use without glitter glue. So that is the best thing about this. This palette is available online at Sephora. It does retail for $59 American dollars or 74 Canadian dollars. It's also going to be in stores at Sephora on December 10th. So I just recently reviewed the Too Faced Pretty Rich palette. I will leave that in the cards for you guys if you haven't checked it out yet. But I swatched that palette just yesterday. Then I went to swatch this palette for this video, and I could tell right away there's a huge comparison between the two brands and what they offer. This isn't going to be a video where it compares the Pretty Rich palette to this because this is a different color scheme, different shadows and things like that. But the mattes in this Nars palette are certainly not as creamy as the ones in the Too Faced palette, but I don't necessarily think it's affecting how they're blending or anything. They do still blend really well on the eye. I think that they're incredibly pigmented. The 3 shadows I'm talking about are in the first left-hand corner here. They are all the mattes in this palette, and although pigmented, a touch drier than the Too Faced formula I just played with yesterday. Either way, they still get the job done, but I wanted to let you know the difference that I noticed right away. When it came to swatching the 3 shimmers in here, I did find that the bottom shade here is a little bit more textured than the 2 at the top. The 2 at the top are much more of a subtle shimmer. They are going to be a lot less of a sparkle impact versus the 3rd one here. And these especially are, of course, the glitter impact shades. So they're going to be much more in your face of that sparkle, glitter, just that beautiful shine. The other 6 here are kind of what makes this palette shine. These are the very characteristic Nars glitter formula that I don't believe any other brand offers. I do think that these are really beautiful shifting shades. So we do have a lot of shades that they have that shifting capability to them. They're like that iridescence. So this one is super pretty. It has elements of green, elements of purple. It's just really stunning. This one as well, we've seen before, but it's that purpley, greeny blue. That's just really beautiful as well. I'll just show you right here. I do think that these are some really interesting shades, and I think that's why people are going to be gravitated towards this palette versus something else. That being said, if you are into shimmers, you will love this palette. If you are not into shimmers, you will not. For the look that I did create today, I did go all over the lid first using this matte base color. Again, even though it's a little bit drier to the touch than the Too Faced one that I just swatched yesterday, I still think it performs really well on the eye. It blends out beautifully, very pigmented. You can layer it really well as well. The fallout is minimal with the mattes, which I also appreciate. Then I went into the True Eggplant color, which is right at the bottom here. Now, I actually watched my friend Morgan Turner's video on this palette. She talked about her experience with this shade and how it's a little bit patchy. I wanted to see if it would be patchy for myself as well. And sure enough, I do think that it blends out really beautifully, but I do think the patchiness is evident. You can just blend it out a little bit and make it blend in to your lid really easy, but you do have to work at it a touch more than I would say you should have to be honest. But I do see what she's saying about the patchiness, and I do think that it is evident, especially to a beginner. If you're going to be using this as a beginner, definitely make sure you take the time to work it onto your lid to blend it out well. The next shade that I did use was I went into this one here, and this one is a very beautiful glittery shade. It does have that purple with bluey green kind of shift to it, and I first dipped it in with my brush, and it worked out really well. I think it gave more of a diffuse look to the eye. It was definitely not as impactful on the lid as when I used my finger, which I did do next. So I used my finger to get more of that oomph and more of that impact, and I was able to get much more of the look that I wanted, which is more of that concentrated look of that pigment. Next, I wanted to do a bit more of a spotlight kind of in the middle of the lid. I wanted a little bit more glitter and to kind of really bring light to the center of the eye. So I used this shade up top here. This one I just applied with my finger right away because I wanted that impact, and sure enough, it worked out really well. I do think with applying these 6 glitter shades, I did get some fallout on my eye. Definitely distinct, definitely noticeable, so I did my eyes first on purpose, but I do recommend that you do your eyes first with this palette, especially if you're going to go in and use any of these shimmers, which is 3/4 of this palette. As a whole, I do think that this palette is absolutely lovely for people that love that shimmer aspect to their looks. If you don't like shimmer, I would steer clear from this because obviously we only have 3 of the matte shades. The second thing I wanted to mention is that yes, if you're a fan of shimmer, you will love this, but I also think that I wish that they would have added 2 more mattes and taken away 2 shimmer shades because there really is a lot to choose from when it comes to shimmer and glitter and very little matte. So I would like to have seen like a matte pink, a matte purple for sure, something like that to just really balance out this palette a little bit better and just give people a little bit more like clear structure when it comes to creating a look, because I do find that most people will use mattes to create the look. Like they'll see the matte and then they'll add the shimmer as they go. And if there's only the 3 to choose from here, then the look kind of creativity is really limited unless you're just like free flowing, can do whatever, no matter what. And if that's the case, I envy you. I am one of those people certainly that really goes by the mattes to see where I can start and then how I can make my look evolve. So I do wish that there were 2 more mattes in here at the minimum, but I'm still happy with this palette. My first impression is still really strong. Definitely do your eyes first. Definitely don't be afraid to get your fingers in there. And I do think you'll be able to achieve beautiful looks with this. Anyways, guys, that is it for my first impression on this Nars Ignited palette. Let me know down below, are you interested in this palette at all? I'm super curious. I'm especially a little bit disappointed in myself that I decluttered the Wanted palette, but I'm glad one of my good friends has it. It's getting a lot of love and a lot more love than I would give it. So definitely check out Morgan's video if you're interested in a step-by-step comparison, swatch by swatch between the 2. She did a great job. If you guys liked this video, don't forget to let me know as well by giving it a big thumbs up, as well as don't forget to subscribe on your way out. And until my next one, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us.